Isn't it interesting how, without warning, individuals start to act in ways that isolate them as they become older? There are some habits that might make aging more difficult and annoying, and it's not just about wrinkles or slowing down. Disturbingly, the majority of seniors are unaware that they engage in these habits, which can range from little, repetitive activities to more entrenched patterns of conduct. These habits have the potential to subtly harm their relationships and overall quality of life. Fortunately, the good news is that once you become aware of them, you are able to alter them. People began to visit less frequently, Angelina's phone rang less frequently, and invitations to family gatherings became rare. Angelina, a 71-year-old retired librarian, used to be the center of her community, loving chatting with neighbors, catching up with old friends, and being the person everyone went to for book recommendations. She wondered whether she had done something to make them go, but at first she put the blame on other people, thinking they were simply too busy. Isolation was never Angelina's intention, but her little habits built up, and she began to gripe more and more about the world and how things could be better. In the past, she used to put more emphasis on her looks and less on listening to others. She also rejected new technology, fought against change, and, gradually, refused help when she needed it. As a result, she became estranged from the people she cared about. It's never too late to change, my friend. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step to maintaining strong relationships, staying socially connected, and living a more fulfilling life. So, let's dive into these unsaid things and figure out how to avoid them. After all, Angelina's story isn't unique. In fact, many seniors unknowingly fall into the same patterns that make aging harder and more frustrating. So, if you find yourself falling into any of these patterns, don't worry, you're not alone. Please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like if you found it useful. We are excited to begin sharing more advice that may change people's lives, and your support makes it possible. Leading the pack in being too pessimistic or critical. The years passed, and Angelina began to complain more frequently. She would wake up with a knee ache and grumble about getting old. She would watch the news and sigh in frustration at the world's condition. And when she spoke to her younger relatives, she would roll her eyes at their decisions and say, "Back in my day, we had more respect." She had never considered herself a negative person. She was simply being honest. Angelina failed to notice the change at first, but soon enough, her conversations became shorter. Her friends avoided deep discussions with her, and her once loving grandkids began making excuses not to visit. What she failed to realize was that negativity, no matter how justified, drains people. No one wants to leave a conversation feeling worse than when they started. And the truth is that it's easy to slip into a cycle of criticism. It's normal to feel frustrated when things that were once simple, like shopping, driving, or using a smartphone, become more complicated. It's also natural to vent when things become too difficult, but when negativity becomes the norm, it drives people away. So, how can you change this? Instead of starting with negative things, try something positive like, "I woke up feeling good today, the sunset was beautiful last night," or "I just read an interesting article." People are more likely to be drawn to you if you start talks with positive things rather than complaints. Determine the maximum number of complaints instead of criticizing or ignoring new trends or ideas. Try expressing your dissatisfaction for 2 minutes and then moving on to something productive. Demonstrate interest by asking questions such as, "Tell me more about that." If your grandchild is fixated on a new app or game, think about your own conversations. Are they attracting people or repelling them? Let us know in the comments what one habit you've changed that helped improve your relationships. Angelina didn't realize how much her negativity affected her relationships until she decided to change. When she began leading conversations with positivity, people responded differently, stayed longer, opened up, and slowly she felt the warmth of connection return. Second-level bonds. Disregarding one's own personal cleanliness and physical attractiveness. Angelina used to adore getting dolled up. Her closet was filled with vibrant blouses. Her scent was something she never left the house without, and she always made sure her hair was perfectly styled before going out. But as she grew older, things started to change. For one, she stopped wearing makeup, skipped hair appointments, and opted for more comfortable, baggy clothes. Then she started to wonder why bother. She wasn't trying to impress anyone anymore. Days went by without her changing out of her house clothes, and she rarely looked in the mirror. She convinced herself that it didn't matter. but something was off. Then she noticed a change in the way people treated her. Strangers who had complimented her cheerful outfits now hardly made eye contact, and friends stopped inviting her out as frequently. Taking pleasure in your appearance isn't about vanity. It's about self-respect, confidence, and being connected with the world. How can Angelina turn this around? She failed to comprehend that her presentation impacts both others and her self's perceptions of her. No need to go all out every day. Just put on something, even if you're staying in merely fresh, form-fitting garments that elevate your mood. Showing off your favorite outfit will quickly improve your attitude. Make sure to stick to your regular hygiene routine, consistently taking a shower, cutting your nails, and attending to minor hygiene routines like washing your hair and applying moisturizer. Send a message to your brain that you are taking care of yourself. What matters is that you wear colors that lift your spirits. Wearing well-coordinated clothing or vibrant, cheery colors may improve your mood and make you feel more a beloved watch. A charming pair of earrings, or even a mischievous spray of perfume, may serve as a significant accessory that evokes a sense of excitement and self-expression. When Angelina began to make minor changes, like combing her hair, putting on her favorite shirt, and applying a touch of lipstick, she felt instantly better. People smiled at her again, and she felt lighter, more confident, and most importantly, like herself again. When you prioritize self-care, you send a message to both yourself and the world that you are actively involved in living your best life, which is directly related to your emotional state. Leave a comment telling us one little action you do daily to boost your mood and well-being. Thirdly, rejecting new ideas and methods. Angelina had always been set in her ways. She liked her routines, stuck to what she knew, and believed that if something had worked for decades there was no need to change it. So when her kids and grandkids started communicating through text messages instead of phone calls, she resisted. I don't need to learn all that, she'd say, waving off their offers to teach her. If they want to talk to me, they can call, but the calls became less frequent. Family members were still sharing updates, but in group chat, she refused to join. They sent pictures, funny videos, and birthday reminders, things she never saw. When she finally realized she was missing out, it wasn't just about technology, it was about staying connected to the people she loved. The truth is, stubbornness can lead to isolation. It's easy to believe that change isn't necessary, especially after living a certain way for decades, but refusing to adapt. Whether it's learning a new skill, trying a new way of doing things, or embracing modern conveniences, can quietly push people away. How to stay open to change? Say, I'll try, instead of, I don't need that. The willingness to try keeps you engaged and mentally sharp. Instead of shutting something down, immediately give it a chance. Instead of fighting the need to learn something new, why not ask for help and turn it into a bonding experience with your grandchildren or children? When Angelina eventually allowed her granddaughter to teach her how to text, she realized that she didn't have to become a computer expert overnight. Instead, she could start with little changes, like sending a simple text, attempting a new activity, or watching a show that her granddaughters loved. By letting go of her resistance, she regained something far more valuably: stronger connection with the people she cared about most. What was more important than how easy it was seeing what she had been missing: daily photos of her great-grandkids, inside jokes, and quick check-ins that made her feel loved. Can you think of anything fresh you've learned that has helped you maintain connections? Leave a remark below. We're interested in hearing about your experiences. In the fourth place, holding on to sentimental items and reluctant to let go of clutter. Angelina's house was filled with old birthday cards from decades ago, stacks of newspapers she intended to read, and clothing she hadn't worn in years, but preserved in case one day her home became a hoarder's paradise, filled with cherished possessions she rarely used but couldn't bear to part with. At first, she didn't see the problem, justifying her hoarding with rationalizations like, I might need it someday. However, as her daughter subtly suggested purging a few items, she vehemently opposed, thinking, what if I need them later? The truth is that clutter does more than just fill up your home. It can also fill your mind with stress and make life more difficult than it needs to be. Holding on to too much stuff can make you feel trapped in the past rather than living in the present. To break free from clutter, tackle one drawer at a time, then move on to the next box. And finally, organize your shelves. While it may seem impossible to do everything at once, breaking it down into smaller tasks might help. Decluttering can become a habit by setting a goal to get rid of one item every day. Over time, this simple habit can lead to a noticeable transformation. If you ask yourself, do I use this or does it bring me joy? And the answer is no, it's time to let go, donate, recycle, or pass meaningful items to family members who will cherish them. Remember to prioritize safety and clear up any clutter. Cluttered areas provide a higher risk of accidents and falls. When Angelina made the decision to begin decluttering, she felt a tremendous weight lifted off her shoulders. She gave away items she hadn't worn in years, recycled old magazines, and organized her space so that her treasures were easier to find. After years of struggling to invite friends over, she finally felt comfortable doing so. The point of decluttering isn't to lose possessions, but to create a life that is better, simpler, and more tranquil. Tell us about anything that you've decluttered that has made a significant impact on your life. Journey number 5. Are you paying attention? Being impatient with people too soon on a particular afternoon. Angelina found herself in line at the grocery store, waiting for the young cashier to finish bagging her groceries. As she watched him struggle with the bags, she couldn't help but feel frustrated and wanted to scream out, "Can't you move a little faster?" The cashier looked down, embarrassed, and that's when Angelina noticed his hands trembling slightly. He was clearly nervous, but he was doing his best, and she couldn't help but wonder if she was turning into the exact person she had disliked before. Swiftly to snap, slowly to display. Being impatient and short-tempered is a common problem as we age, Grace, especially when things aren't moving along at the pace we'd like. However, being irritated not only makes other people's lives more difficult, but it also increases our own stress levels. Think at it this way: that sluggish motorist may be someone's grandpa. That distracted cashier could be a struggling student. Take a big breath before you respond, and ask yourself if it's worth getting upset about. Instead of snapping, offer a smile or words of encouragement. A little patience may transform irritation into understanding. Use little opportunities to demonstrate kindness. Taking it easy may brighten someone's day. Remember that life becomes easier when you release little frustrations. Deciding to be patient instead of angry results in less stress and improved relationships. Attempting to slow down, Angelina smiled at the same young cashier the next time she went shopping. She told him, "You're doing a great job," and his face lit up. That's when she realized how much of an impact kindness can have. Have you ever found yourself losing patience too quickly? How do you deal with frustrating situations? Put your ideas down on paper. Below the 6th point, engaging in overt speech. Without listening when Angelina called her daughter, she asked, "Is everything okay? You don't call as much anymore." Her daughter paused before answering, but Angelina still loved talking and had plenty of stories, advice, and memories to share. However, she had noticed that her daughter was calling less frequently and that their conversations felt rushed, as if her daughter was eager to end the call. "Our conversations are always about you, and I never feel like I can tell you what's really bothering me, no matter how much I love talking to you." The realization hit Angelina like a ton of bricks. She had no idea she so frequently interrupted her daughter's sentences with advice or steered the conversation back to herself. This is a common problem among older adults. We want to share our wisdom with those around us, but if we don't listen, our loved ones may start to withdraw. Tips for improving your conversational skills. When you start talking too much, pause and ask, "How are you doing?" Also, refrain from interrupting, even if you have something interesting to say. Instead, wait for the other person to finish speaking before you jump in. Lastly, use open-ended questions to spark genuine discussion, rather than formulaic ones, like "How are you doing?" or "What's exciting that happened this week?" Just be there. No need to multitask. Pay attention to the other person and take their words to heart. Angelina resolved to make a change, so the next time her daughter called, she listened attentively, asked her daughter more questions, and allowed her to vent without offering advice. As a result, their calls became warmer, more meaningful, and longer. Do you ever feel like you weren't being heard, or that you were the one doing all the talking in a conversation? If so, you need to work on your listening skills, since that's where the true magic happens. Here in the comments, we can talk about it. The 7th, avoiding others rather than seeking assistance. Angelina prided herself on being independent. She had spent decades taking care of others, raising her children, managing a household, and even helping neighbors when they needed a hand. But As the years passed, simple tasks became harder. One afternoon, she struggled to lift a heavy grocery bag from her car. A kind young man passing by noticed and offered Need a hand with that. Angelina forced a smile and shook her head. "No thank you. I've got it," but she didn't. As she dragged the bag inside, her back ached and frustration welled up. Inside her she felt exhausted, not just from the physical strain, but from the loneliness that followed. She had pushed someone away who was simply trying to help. Later that night, she realized something painful. Her refusal to accept help wasn't making her stronger, it was making her more isolated. Why asking for help is enough strength, not weakness. Asking for help doesn't mean you're a burden. It means you're allowing others to care. People want to help, but if you keep refusing, they'll stop offering. Accepting help encourages bonding by allowing another person to provide a hand, which in turn generates a moment of comfort and shared. A gift from humanity is the ability to alleviate the suffering of others, both physically and emotionally. When people are able to lend a hand to those in need, it makes everyone's lives easier, because no one has to bear the burdens of hardship alone. I've learned that taking help from others really makes our connections stronger, not weaker. So, the next time someone offers to lend us a hand, try saying yes instead of no. If you really need someone to lean on, ask directly. In the future, Angelina returned to the store, where she encountered the same young man. She couldn't help but grin as she mentioned that she might use some assistance today. In that brief moment, his expression brightened even more, and he seized her bag. Do you find it difficult to ask for help, or have you ever experienced the satisfaction of assisting another person? Let's discuss these topics in the comments. Angelina felt a connection she hadn't felt in a while. 8th remark: being overly frugal to have fun. Even though Angelina had a comfortable amount saved up, she was always wary about spending it on anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. She would clip coupons, forego vacations, and think twice before buying anything that wasn't essential. Eventually, her best friend Linda invited her on a weekend getaway to the countryside, promising that they would explore, eat delicious food, and relax. Avoiding spending money on vacations and restaurants was Angelina's initial reaction. She had spent years saving for a special occasion, but what if that day never came? Why is it important to enjoy your money? She could think of 1,000 reasons to say no, but deep down she pondered when she had last treated herself. While it's crucial to be frugal, the most essential thing is to remember that life is about making memories, not material goods. Research indicates that prioritizing experiences, such as travel or hobbies, can lead to long-term benefits. Joy: even if worldly possessions depreciate rapidly, savor this time in life that you've worked so hard for. Your happiness should be supported by your money. Having a secure financial situation is crucial, but finding fulfillment is much more so. Achieving a middle ground between spending and conserving is crucial, whether it's treating yourself to a romantic dinner, investing in a new activity, or taking a little vacation. It's important to remember that you deserve to treat yourself if you want to break the habit. Allot some of your savings for exciting things you can do and adventures you may have. When life is too busy to wait, why not ask now? Have you ever put off an experience due to financial concerns? Share your thoughts in the comments. After months of saving, Angelina finally agreed to that weekend trip, and she laughed more than in those 2 days than in months. As she watched the sunset with her best friend, she realized this was the experience she had been waiting for. The 9th, discoursing with the younger age groups, Angelina cherished her grandson Alex and eagerly anticipated his visits, although they seemed to be getting shorter and less frequent as of late. Their chats had become awkward since he no longer felt comfortable talking to her about his favorite video games and school. Back in my day, we didn't need all this technology. Instead of looking at screens, kids really played outside. When Alex mentioned a new program he was enthused about, Angelina sighed and shook her head. After a little period of silence, Alex glanced at his phone and said something along the lines of, "I should probably get going," before the door shut behind him. It was Angelina's intention to show him how different things were when she was younger, but she felt guilty that she had made him feel ignored instead. She wondered why this alienates younger generations. It's easy to look back and compare things to how they were, but doing so on a regular basis can hurt younger people more than it helps. Instead of connecting with them, it can make them feel like their experiences don't matter, which in turn creates distance. Strengthening relationships requires positive reinforcement rather than negative criticism. Opening up to someone else's world can help build relationships. Instead of dismissing their experiences or saying, "We never had that in my day," try saying something like, "That sounds interesting. Tell me more." Instead of criticizing, encourage them instead. Newer decades prosper when you have people to back up what you say. When Alex mentioned his favorite game on their next visit, Angelina took a new tack and asked, "What do you like about it?" In an effort to encourage him rather than discourage him, Angelina came to the realization that connecting across generations wasn't about changing them, but about understanding them. Alex stayed a little longer than that evening, and their conversation flowed easily as he explained the strategy behind it. Have you ever felt disconnected from younger generations? Let's talk about what helped close the gap in the comments. Dear Angelina, as she sat by the window and watched the leaves fall, she couldn't shake the familiar weight of remorse. Memories of a friend who had betrayed her years ago, an unresolved argument with her sister, and the things she regretted doing differently were all playing like a looping video that she couldn't escape. Eventually, her neighbor, because Angelina was staring off into space, Linda, wanted to know what was bothering her. Dear Angelina, things I can't alter keep popping into my head. A smile spread across Linda's face. Gently across, keeping grudges and regrets bottled up inside is like always lugging around a big luggage. Just think about how much better it would be if you let go of them. Feeling down about the past makes it hard to appreciate the present, weakens relationships, and causes unintentional emotional and physical separation from loved ones. Resentment causes stress, which in turn raises blood pressure, disturbs sleep, and maybe lowers immune system function. Methods for releasing and locating emotions realize that you can't reverse what has already happened. Instead of wondering, why, consider what can I learn from this, and forgive yourself, not just the people who wronged you. When you let go, you release yourself from the grip of poor conduct. It is not an excuse. Pay attention in the here and now. If you find yourself stuck in the past, redirect your thoughts to something positive happening right now. If you're having trouble moving on, write out all of your feelings and then destroy or burn the paper. That night, Angelina took out a piece of paper and wrote down everything that had been bothering her for years. Then, taking a deep breath, she let go of all of it. It was the first time in a long time that she felt lighter. Have you ever experienced the relief that comes from letting go of a past hurt? What helped you move forward? Share your thoughts in the comments. Comments. One morning, as Angelina reached for her coffee mug in the kitchen, the dizziness hit her harder than usual. Before she could grab onto the counter, she lost her balance. She had always been independent, so she brushed off symptoms like feeling dizzy while standing up or seeing her vision getting blurrier as just a part of getting older. As she landed with a thud, a sharp ache surged through her hip. She attempted to act, but everything seemed off. Panic ensued. Hours later, in the hospital, the doctor shook his head and explained to Angelina why it's hazardous to ignore health concerns and how this could have been avoided if the problem had been detected sooner. Even minor symptoms might indicate more serious issues. If you feel lightheaded, it might be an indication of dehydration or a potential stroke. Exertion may be due to natural aging processes or undetected cardiac problems. Putting off checks results in harsher consequences. Long-term health issues, such as chronic pain, shortness of breath, or unexpected changes, often go untreated, leading many seniors to regret not seeking early intervention. Crisis management is more difficult than prevention. A simple change in food, medicine, or way of life might avert serious health problems. Tips for maintaining good health include paying attention to your body's signals, not brushing off concerns because they don't seem severe, and getting frequent checkups regardless of how well you're feeling to help detect latent health issues before they worsen. The onset of vertigo. Never disregard chest pain, amnesia, or sudden weight loss. I made a promise to myself after my fall that I would no longer ignore warning signs. I started drinking more water, scheduled an appointment with my doctor, and even enrolled in a balance class at the community center. Being independent didn't mean ignoring help. It meant taking charge of my health before it got worse. Stay proactive, eat well, stay active, and prioritize sleep. Your daily habits impact your long-term health. Are you familiar with the experience of ignoring a health problem until it escalated? If so, what prompted you to take action? Share your story in the comments. While relaxing in her living room, Angelina flipped through old photo albums. She saw herself laughing with friends, playing with her grandkids, and dancing at family events. But when had she laughed like that? Life had become mundane. Up, get ready, and then watch some news. Angelina had stopped actively seeking joy in her life. One night, her neighbor Linda invited her over for a movie night, and Angelina reluctantly accepted. The movie was a classic comedy that Angelina hadn't seen in years. Before she knew it, she was laughing so hard that her stomach hurt and tears welled up in her eyes. It was a relief to finally laugh again. Laughter has many benefits, including lowering cortisol levels, which improves mood and overall health, strengthening relationships, forming deeper connections, keeping you young both inside and out, improving circulation, boosting immunity, and even aiding with memory. How to bring more happiness into your life by making time for enjoyment. See a funny movie, have fun, or do something different. Collaborate with those that can bring a smile to your face. Look for encouraging, upbeat companionship. Never take life too seriously. Even the smallest setback may be fodder for a hilarious anecdote. Get in touch with your inner child. Remember how much fun it was to dance, sing, tell jokes, and enjoy life in general. Reincorporate it into your existence after leaving Linda's house that night. Angelina felt a weight lifted off her shoulders. She came to the realization that joy wasn't something that happened. It was a choice. The following morning, instead of watching the news, she put on her favorite music, danced around the kitchen, and felt alive for the first time in a long time. When was the last time you laughed so hard? Let's spread some happiness in the space provided. Down below, Angelina never imagined how much small habits were shaping her life, but once she started making changes, letting go of negativity, staying open to new things, and inviting joy back, something incredible happened. She felt more connected. Her daughter called more often, her neighbors stopped by to chat, and even strangers responded to her warmth. She felt happier. The weight of grudges, regrets, and loneliness started lifting, replaced by moments of laughter, gratitude, and purpose. And surprisingly, she even felt younger at heart. Instead of resisting change, she embraced it. Instead of dwelling on the past, she focused on what she could control. Your turn to reflect and act. Which of these habits do you recognize in yourself or someone you know? What's one small change you can make today? Aging is inevitable.